Welcome, everybody, back to the Season in Review show here at Fantasy and Frames' IDP podcast, Shoot the Gap. I'm your host, Jorge Edwards, and with me, I got the esteemed colleagues I've been able to work with all season long here on Shoot the Gap. I got JT, I got the IDP Godfather here, Gary Davenport, got the IDP Hunter himself, Steve Hungarter. We have had a pleasure, if I'll speak for all of us here for a second, doing this show, having fun on this show, helping fantasy managers find success throughout the season and get those fantasy IDP titles here. So just to start us off here, we want to thank all you all who are listening and watching. Just really appreciate you all tuning in, your support, your questions over the season in 2025. Just a lot of fun. But we're going to get into some of our we're going to get into some IDP talk and other things. Wink, wink. But before we get to that, let's go around the frames and just see how everyone is doing in 2026. Steve, let's start with you. Actually, before we start with you, round of applause here for Steve Hungarter, finished as the IDP ranker number 3 over at Fantasy Pros in the expert consensus ranking competition. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Happy New Year's, everybody.
Happy New Year to you too. Gary, the Godfather, how are you doing, sir?
Great.
Awesome. JT, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. Pretty successful IDP season for me, fantasy-wise.
Go to hell.
I won my 2 number 1 longest running IDP leagues in my home league that I've been running forever. My very first IDP league I ever played in and started, I finally won after all these years. After having the number 1 record overall for the last decade, I never could win the championship. I finally won it. So that one was pretty huge. I was pretty pumped about that. And then I also took an orphan team that me and my cousin took over and absolutely built it from the ground up and finally made the playoffs for 3 years ago for the first time. And we lost the championship last year, won this year. So pretty pumped about those 2 teams. And not only that, but my defense crushed in both those leagues. Like, my defense led me to the championship. So I was pretty pumped about that.
Jorge, why is that? We're experts. We can club all these other leagues, but our home leagues, like we get beat by our grandson or something. What gives with that?
I see. My home league is an offense IDP combo. Also, I got them converted years ago, which I'm very proud of. And I was in the championship. And here's the thing: with the leagues, I was like a 1 seed or a 2 seed. I either lost in the semis or I lost in the title game. And I had like studs at my IDP positions and things like I had Devonta Smith, Jahmyr Gibbs, DJ Moore, insert name, who got like a combined total of like 6 points in championship week, and it's just like, but I got Brian Burns. Brian Burns killed it, loved it. Had other IDPs, but coincidentally, the only IDP Dynasty league that I'm in, and it's only IDP, where my 2 alphas on this team were Daniil Hunter and Andrew Van Ginkel, and I was rolling with Austin Booker, Tatum Bethune, Demetrius Knight, Sherwood, Julian Love, Hufanga, Cam Bynum, Servassier, Dennis, and Malachi Moore. Led me to upsetting the 1, 2, and 3 seeds.
There you go.
That's how it works, right? That's how it works. You end up winning it with those teams. That's how it always seems like me. All my absolute, like, I'll talk about this right now. The Fantasy and Frames League, combined league, 26-2 I went this year. I took over a team 2 years ago, a team that didn't make the playoffs last year. I went 26-2 this year, with my 2 losses being the second highest scoring team against the number 1 scoring team of the week. 26-2. Micah Parsons gets hurt. A bunch of my other guys start getting hurt. And I get upset. in the semis. I end up taking 3rd place. I should have made the championship game, and I would have won it. I would have won it if I got the championship game. But Jonathan Taylor, like you said, the offensive guys let me down. Jonathan Taylor didn't have a great game. And then Latu had a huge game
on your
for
bench.
Kyle. For Kyle on the other side, my boy Latu had a monster game, and he ended up beating me by, I think it was like 5 or 6 points. Just like he had Purdy and Kittle is what killed. I think they scored 80 points in the semis against me. And I was, of course, at the Monday night game, Colts, Niners, and then I didn't even look at the score until afterwards and realized, I was like, they're having a monster game, right? I didn't realize how monstrous until I looked at it later and realized he just totally took me out by like 5 points because those guys scored like 85 combined points. And then I got third, but I'm still real mad I didn't win.
Yeah, I can pick up on the having trouble letting go. I understand that, but let's kind of go around the frames again. Gary, let's start with you. In a fantasy championship game, okay, you're in the championship. Both teams are evenly matched. If you want to pay attention to projections, which that's a whole other debate in and of itself, you all are projected to be neck and neck here. Would you rather, if you were going to lose?
I'd rather lose by 100 than 10.
Thank you. That's exactly where I was going with that. Steve, you're on board with that?
Mm-hmm.
No, I lost Butkus this year again by I think 12. And then I mean you're looking at the lineup decisions you didn't make, and you're looking at every point on your bench, and you're like, man, if I'd have just started this guy and sat that guy. And all that shoulda, coulda, woulda nonsense is gonna do is drive you crazy. Because there were also, that week 4 loss you took when you could have started blah, blah, blah over so-and-so. It's a whole season of decisions. It doesn't just come down to one game. But yes, please blow me out. Destroy me in the championship game.
Hello.
That's a different channel.
Yeah, that's the Gary Davenport OnlyFans channel.
Yeah, you guys wish I'd have you.
Speaking of the OnlyFans, me and Gary, we're gonna come up with our own show. I'm changing my handle to the IDP Godson. We're gonna have the IDP Godfather's son, and we're gonna do a lot of weird topics like that. So stay tuned for that, fellas.
I think Shoot the Gap needs more full frontal nudity.
Nudity of clear and concise takes. Yes, you're right. Absolutely. Which, by the way, I love how Matt Montgomery didn't waste any time with lighting up a stogie on Twitter and posting the video of I just took down the IDP butt kiss division.
You know what, though? Good for him.
I agree.
I've played in league with Matthew, 5-6 win seasons. Not talking poor. Good for him. Every dog deserves a bone.
Oh, he had the best team in the league this year. I mean, he was the number 1 seed for a reason.
Enjoy the moment. Good for him.
He drafted well. He managed the roster well. He made lineup decisions well, and he beat me. I mean, I don't.
Yeah. Matthew, if you're listening, good for you. Season starts now again.
Matthew, if you're listening,
we're going to cut that up and make that a reel and post that. Absolutely. Love it. But Steve, to your point, you brought up something just now that I think people need to pay attention to is season does start now for a lot of us here, especially for Dynasty, especially for IDP Dynasty. And something that, you've been doing as one of our newest writers here at Fantasy and Frames, you put out an early look at NFL IDP draft prospects prior to the Senior Bowl, which you were also going to be down there in Mobile, Alabama when Senior Bowl week at the end of January, right?
In 2 weeks, I'll be there. I don't have my crew this year, so it's going to be me and my daughter. We're going to be on the field interviewing people. So be on the lookout for that. Can't miss me, big guy, IDP 100 jersey. I'll be out there. And then we got a 12-part series going on. We did the first 3. Yep. If I'm not mistaken, you want 3 more articles. It's funny how we started this, JT. Jorge's like, hey, can you give me top 5, top 10? I go, I'll do the whole damn draft. We did a whole Da Vinci Code board of everybody, but we're coming back. We're doing 3 more after the Senior Bowl, right? And then 3 more after the Combine. I think that's what we agreed on. But, yeah, it's going to be a 12-part series. I'm excited. I'm glad people like this content.
Yeah,
so it's going down a rabbit hole.
No, I hear. So we have the 3 prior to Senior Bowl. We have then the 3 after Senior Bowl, and then we have after Combine, and then we're going to do no, I'm sorry. Let me back this up. We have the 3 now. Then we're going to do 3 Combine, then 3 pre-draft, and then a draft fallout series. So we got Steve's basically. I went from like, hey Steve, do you mind? Would you be interested in doing like 3 articles for us? Like, hey, how about 12 now? And he's, God bless him. So he is. We have converted IDP Hunter over here. So officially welcome as a writer to the IDP team here at Fantasy and Frame. Steve, love your content.
And Jorge, I will have I can't go to the Senior Bowl this year. I wanted to go with Steve. My dad's getting married that weekend. Can't go. So I'm missing that, but I will be at the draft, or not at the draft, at the combine in Indianapolis. So I'll have all my IDP right up for that as well to go. In addition to what Steve gives you, I'll be giving my take on everything that happened at the combine that weekend.
Love it
as well. Bring that to you guys.
We should plug that a little
IDP
harder,
content.
Jorge. We should plug that. If anybody likes WrestleMania 10, Stranger Things, you get a little bit more with those articles.
Absolutely. Well, so it's funny. I know we're kind of going slightly off topic, but like one of the things here mid-season was like, like you get like the people who post their tweets of like, join us for this show, join us for that show, read this article, read that article. Also, everyone does their things their own way, and that is strictly based off of like their personality and how they like to promote. Totally get it. I am a nerd. I am a dork. I am a geek. So the increase in Star Trek,
you are all those things,
pro wrestling related metaphors to tuning into all the articles and reading all the shows, or reading all the articles and watching all the shows, just went up to the nth degree. So you can always count on that entertainment factor here at Fantasy and Frames. But as far as like the quality content, Gary, you were covering our IDP waiver wire this past season, another year. Thank you so much. Just excellent content. And to Steve's IDP prospects early look, all three at defensive lineman, linebacker, and defensive back are live over at fantasyandframes.com. Right there, you get there, scroll down, boom, right there. So we got Dynasty in full swing here for IDP as well as for offense. Look out for that as well. So there are no breaks. Maybe a day or two, and then after that we have gone full bear. But we talked about, like, we'll be discussing some of the hits, some of our favorite waiver wire suggestions, some of the busts for IDP. But there's also something else we're going to be talking about, and we'll save the best for last here. But we have this segment here on Shoot the Gap called Sack Lunch, which Nate Markham and I started a couple of years ago, and it wasn't. And then JT and I have taken over it, and sorry, Nate, have taken this to a whole new level. And we brought in Gary, and we have Steve this year, and we decided, and by we I mean I decided on the fly without checking it with any one of these guys, making sure it was actually okay to do, was that we each are going to give you a player that we can only name this player one time all season that we are predicting for the week to give you a sack. And so here, and the scoring goes as follows: you get 1 sack, you get 1 point; you get half a sack, you get half a point. If you projected a linebacker to get a sack, you get 2 bonus points on top of the sack points. If you decide to roll with a defensive back and you hit, because that is very rare to happen, you get 3 additional bonus points. So there are, and then of course, we do the tally at the end of the season.
Yeah, do the tally at the end of the season. He also did the scoring earlier today.
Yeah, and
he started adding bonuses. Oh, and if Jorge picks you, you get 4 bonus points. And I know how it goes, man.
I know for a fact when Jorge was a kid, he used to break his toys when other people tried to play with him. I know this for a fact.
So if I can't play with them, nobody's playing with them. Exactly.
Diabolical.
Lex Luthor. What can I say? But the loser, anyhow, of the sack lunch competition will have to take a pie to the face, do our little pie challenge, just like we have been known for doing here at Fantasy and Frames. So I broke it down, the scoring from weeks 1 through 8, and then weeks 9 through 17. And I'm going to give you all just a taste of, you see what I'm doing there, taste of what's to come later. I'm going to give you the scoring as of weeks 1 through 8, where everybody stood in the sack lunch competition. Weeks 1 through 8, Steve held the commanding lead of 8 points so far at that point in the season, followed by Gary's 4.5 points, close behind JT's 3 points, and my 4 points, and my 3 points. So that's where we were at weeks 1 through 8. Steve was running away with it.
That doesn't sound accurate.
It is very accurate. It is very accurate.
I need receipts.
You work for the government. We know you can't count.
Well, I'll say this for my counting skills. After I break down the math a little bit later, you're right. Even with the calculator, I am challenged in typing in numbers, so you have to be careful with that. So something to pay attention to. We got some comments here in the chat. Jamie, welcome. He says, I read all your future articles. They are spectacular. Thank you. I won't spoil anything for the non-time travelers. I love that. He also goes on to say, do you prefer the movie Sack Lunch or English Patient? Is there a movie called Sack Lunch? Am I missing something, or is he just having fun at the expense of the name? Either way, still rolling with Sack Lunch. I got Brandon in the chat. Texans fan. You'd be very
Boo.
Yeah, I was waiting for that to happen. He says, that was very close when I said the Texans win 33-39, final score 30-6. You need to follow Colby R. Conway here at Fantasy and Frames and with Fantasy Alarm. Definitely a fellow Texans fan for you there.
A little.
Yeah. Also, he says, Brandon, why were the Pittsburgh Feelers trying to grab our kick returners junk? That is, I don't know. That is great.
That's a very specific question. Why were they, JT?
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure why they would be doing that, to be honest with you.
Jamie says that's a Seinfeld reference. That is.
Oh, now, okay, Sack Lunch. Now I get what. I got you.
I still don't.
It went over my head there for a second, but now I get it. Yes, I'd still much rather see Sack Lunch than the English Patient.
That's funny. So, gents, let's get into some of our favorite calls, some of the players that let's start with the negative and let's work our way to the positive, culminating into the congratulations to the winner of Sack Lunch for 2025. And so I'm going to go over a couple of busts here that just three in particular that really grind my gears. You know that Family Guy reference where he's like, you know what grinds my gears? When you can't find the droids you're looking for, and then they pan over and there's a stormtrooper at the news desk. Yeah, what's up with that? What's up with Josh Hines-Allen? 95 total pressures on the season, only 9 sacks. Boo, disappointment. What's up with Jared Verse? 80 total pressures on the season, 6 sacks. Again, I'm looking at like all these pressures and what are they equating to? Jalen Phillips. This one is probably the one that grinds my gears the hardest because I'm a big Jalen Phillips fan. Love the fact that he was able to come back from those back-to-back years of horrible surgeries, an ACL one year, an Achilles the other year. And he just started like ramping back up again. And it's like, if Jalen Phillips can get to some semblance of where he was before all these injuries hit, he could be somebody to be a force to be reckoned with. I mean, his pressures numbers, however you were looking at them, whether in 3-week windows or 4-week windows, like the pressures were there. It's just the sacks and the conversions for getting the sacks just wasn't there. 73 pressures and 5 sacks. And he's somebody that I think I really wanted to have success really bad just because, he was in the right space at the right time. Things just didn't consistently pan out for him. So he was probably one of the bigger busts that I think I took to heart more so than ever. But Gary, heading into the regular season, you were on another Rams player. You were on Byron Young. And when we look at some of the scoring, whether it's Fantasy Pros or Big Three or, Sleeper / IDP 123, like Byron Young, did okay for the season, better than Jared Verse. Can you maybe speak a little bit to whether you're frustrated, or are you more frustrated at Jared Verse, or are you more proud for Byron Young?
Proud for Byron Young.
Okay.
I just thought that Verse was overvalued relative to where, given what the two did last year, and I didn't see any big reason to think that suddenly, Verse is going to take this huge year 2 jump, but Byron Young, who's also a young player himself, is going to fall off a cliff. So at their respective ADPs, I was much more in on Byron Young than I was on Jared Verse. And yeah, it paid off. I had him in Butkus. He helped get me to the championship game. 82 total tackles, 12 sacks, should have been 13 because there was one against the Tennessee Titans that got called back on the stupidest roughing the passer call I've ever seen in my flipping life. But yeah, he was fantastic. And then Verse wasn't terrible. You would talk about terrible pass rusher this year. Let's talk about John Greenard and Grenard, whatever. I'll mispronounce his name now because he sucked. 2 sacks, I think. And it wasn't, yes, he missed a little bit of time, but by midseason, he's losing snaps to Dallas Turner. Right. He just careened off a cliff.
Well, I think, JT, to that point of Dallas Turner in IDP Dynasty leagues, you have to be happy with what you saw this past year. And given the fact that, Grenard had been playing poorly, I think maybe next year you're going to see bigger jump than you saw this year with Dallas Turner in terms of snaps on the field, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I feel like he's going to have to be a buy this offseason. He's the guy you're going to lean into, hoping for that big blow up. What would it be, year 3 for him this year? So you're hoping that he makes that jump here this year, gets a few more snaps, from the beginning, and kind of you're hoping you go buy him and then he comes into the season as the guy, as one of the starters. So I do like him for the future. I still think you can get him pretty relatively cheap just because he hasn't done a ton yet to get people to get so overly excited about him, which is the difference. He's kind of the opposite of Verse. Verse kind of showed you that as a rookie, so people got so hyped thinking he was going to take a massive leap, and when he didn't take that massive leap, people were disappointed.
Yeah, agreed. What you guys were talking about, just to throw in there, you can actually buy both Dallas Turner and Van Ginkel right now on the cheap because they had a lower season. Van Ginkel came up later. That might be a good dynasty move. I know you want to talk about that later in the show, but
no, we can throw it all together.
Okay, yeah, because of Gary's point with Greener, I'd be interested in getting both of those two on the low. Van Ginkel popped off at the end of the year, but most fans kind of casually check out the end of the year. So right. Both Dallas Turner and Van Ginkel are buys for me.
I don't know what Greener's contract looks like, but depending on what it does, he's a guy where he could be either they're going to be like restructure or, maybe we'll shave a little cap space. I mean, if they are looking at Dallas Turner as their number 2 edge rusher, then there ain't no point having Greener on the roster if you're paying him $18, $20 million a year.
Absolutely. Shout out to Philip V55. Dude, you are always supporting us here at Fantasy and Frames. We appreciate your donation. Seriously, it goes a long way, and we really, really appreciate you. Thanks for tuning in tonight. That's a great call here. In terms of it's funny. I've been assembling my IDP wall, and I have Crosby on one end, which we were making fun of my having these offensive players behind me who were hitted with the kiss of death in terms of production this year, the McLaurins, and so I had to change it up here and there. We got Crosby. Don't know if he's a Raider this year. I won, and I like to assemble these jerseys by people who've helped me in fantasy. So. Over the course of the year. So there's Crosby. I actually got Jordan Brooks. I got Will Anderson. I got old school throwback Bobby Wagner as my centerpiece. And right in between Crosby and Wagner, I think I'm the only person in the fantasy football space who has an Andrew Van Ginkel jersey right there, just because he helped me. And you know what? I'm going to be super proud of that jersey, which means I am not selling Andrew Van Ginkel no matter what happens this year, just because, like you said, Steve, he came on at the right time. And, whether it was his time in Miami or coming to Minnesota in free agency, just you got to love it.
Greener may well be a cut candidate this offseason. I just looked up his contract. If they let him go with a post-June 1st designation, they'd take about a $3.3 million dead cap hit and save like $15 million off day cap.
There it is. Yeah.
Nice. And Philip agrees. Van Ginkel is a dog. He is a dog. Let's talk about some guys that we're excited for. And Steve, let's throw it to you. Let's talk about waiver wire. Let's start about how you win your leagues. You don't win your league at the draft. You win your league by working that waiver wire year round. Who are some people that were pickups for the year for you, or you were just really excited about that people should know about this from this past year?
Yeah, the waiver wire was really kind to us this year. And every year linebacker is a thing if you just wait long enough in the midseason. But we had guys like Devin Bush, Devin White, Cedric Gray, Nate Landman. They were all kind of out there. If I was to pick one guy that I think was a waiver wire darling this year, I'd go Devin White because, he was mostly not owned anywhere. I'm sure someone owns a league out there where they were frustrated with the guy and they dropped him. I know I've been in a couple. But he's surprisingly finished as an LB4, 1, 2, 3 scoring. So you got a free player. Kudos for you if you landed him. That means you had a chess piece in the playoffs. And again, like I said, if you look at the body of work during the playoffs, he was having 10-plus games all the way throughout. So kudos to you if you have him. Nate Landman's another name you could have added. But, yeah, this was a very good waiver wire year for linebacker, in my opinion.
I got Bush like halfway through the season in Butkus for nothing, for free, because my fab was gone. And he wasn't great every week. He could be a little up and down, but yeah. And then like Cedric Gray, no one was talking about him. And back in August, we were all talking about how James Williams was going to be awesome because he was going to be the number 2 linebacker in Tennessee. But he had defensive back eligibility with some provider, so loophole guy, He winds up, I don't know if he made 1 tackle all season long, and Cedric Gray was the top scoring linebacker in a lot of scoring systems. It just goes to show what we say over the summer, we're dumb. We're just
well, to be fair, things change. Opportunities arise.
That Devin Bush, what Gary's saying, that Devin Bush, I mean, me as a Devin Bush hater because of everything that fell apart with the Steelers after I was so pumped when they first drafted him, and then he got injured.
Do you remember that Dynasty year?
7th. I mean, for him in Fantasy Pro scoring to finish 7th is pretty spectacular for him for how much I hated him on all year. And I will say Cedric Gray is a guy, obviously came through at the end, missed some prime weeks in the playoffs that you needed him for fantasy. But I mean, for him to finish 5th was amazing. A guy I absolutely loved coming out of the draft. He just was a tackle machine at North Carolina. I was just waiting for him to get an opportunity. I think this year was just a year early. I think we thought it was going to be maybe he would see some time. Next year he would take over. The fact that he was the guy that kind of was the man this year, I think people saw that what he could do. I think it was earlier than we expected is all.
Well, somebody had to make tackles for Tennessee because God knows Cody Barton didn't.
JT, do you remember that year when we played our dynasty leagues? The topic was for the first couple of years, Devin White or Devin Bush. That was a major topic, which Devin that you would have for years and years, and then he fizzled. So kudos to you if you were smart to pick him up.
Yeah, if you were back on Devin Bush and Devin White, like again, both those guys are pretty much left for dead, to be honest with you. And for Devin White to finish 3rd and Devin Bush to finish 7th. In Fantasy Pro scoring is pretty amazing when we were all like, those guys are throwaway, backup. Like, if I have to find another linebacker just to fill up my roster, that's how we kind of viewed those guys coming into the season. So if you got on them early and picked them up, I have to be honest, I didn't in almost any leagues. And I missed out. Like, those guys played way better than expected for sure.
There's one of 2 narratives on the Devin Bush thing, which is or Devin White actually. There's 1 or 2 narratives which is kind of unique. Either one, you're one of those owners that held him when he was an Eagle, when he was here, you held him and you're just collecting trash in your roster and you scratched the lotto ticket. Or 2, you're one of us that, oh crap, somebody dropped them and then he picks them up and you win your league. So those are 2 good stories. That's why I wanted to include him in this episode.
Well, you talk about players who could have been dropped, on waivers. Somebody who I think also fell into a good coaching situation on top of the waiver situation, Jermaine Pratt, reuniting with Lou Anarumo over in Indianapolis after being cut by the Las Vegas Raiders, really turned things on down the stretch. Super consistent, again, different scoring out there. Take your pick, folks. But like using Fantasy Pros, I mean, he only had between weeks 12 and 17, 18. Actually, let's go all the way back to, week 6. 1, 2, 3 games where he had single-digit points. The rest of them were double-digit fantasy points per game. So, love that. One of the 2 waiver wire options that I was really excited about. Granted they were streaky, but they were streaking at the right time. And the last going streaking.
Hey, like I said, this show needs more full frontal nudity. So let's streak right now. Just run around the room naked.
All right. Well,
everybody's doing it. Everybody's doing it.
It's the latest thing the kids are doing on the TikTok.
Yeah, exactly. So defensive line / edge is a very tricky one to get to. You want to look at pressures, you want to look at conversions, how well are they, getting home, their pass rush win rates and whatnot. but one of the things that I think I enjoyed the most, as far as like trying to like find which defensive linemen or edge rushers to get off the waiver ones, are like who has the elevated fantasy floor. And so when I think about elevated fantasy floor, I think about who's getting me tackle numbers, and that's not just boomer bust, sack or no sack. And there were two that jumped to mind. One was Gary, one of your Browns, Alex Wright. Everyone kind of overlooked him, rightfully so, because Myles Garrett had the season of seasons for a defensive lineman. But Alex Wright, he had that tackle for, which made him a good DL3. Sometimes he had DL2 weeks, and so that was really cool. And for me, my favorite waiver wire ad helped me win this title, because the one where I was telling you was a bunch of scrubs on my Dynasty team, and then I was facing this other guy. Other guy had Montez Sweat, who at one point during the season also had good tackle numbers, but became boomer bust. But who didn't down the stretch, and especially in championship week, was his fellow edge rusher, Austin Booker, for the Chicago Bears, who also had the tackle numbers, and it was hitting home. So definitely those two ring out to me, as far as IDP waiver wire pickups at the right time. It's so tricky, with linebackers I feel like there's more longevity in terms of like what you're getting for them over the course of a season versus an edge rusher, where I feel like there's more streakiness to a certain degree, unless you're a la Myles Garrett or an Aiden Hutchinson or one of these alpha guys. So getting guys off of waivers for defensive linemen, definitely a lot trickier, but a lot of good options. Gary, is there anybody that jumps out to you that you had in your leagues, or wrote about, that you are just like, this was like, granted it's the Godfather, so they're all good calls, but like, man, this one was a good pickup this year, and I was not seeing that one coming.
I think we already mentioned a lot of them, and that's the thing, there are just so many. Austin Booker, none of us were ranking him anywhere in October.
Right.
Geno Stone of the Cincinnati Bengals. Oh yeah, everyone had him in the top 10 before the year, which is one of the reasons why I don't, because defensive backs are always, look at the top 10 defensive backs, and there's like 4 of the names, or you're like, who? What? And the guys who were supposed to be there are nowhere to be found. But it's every year at IDP is wild, and next year won't be any different. We will do our homework. We will write out our rankings. We will have our draft boards. We will have our strategy. And then by week 6, we will be digging through the scrap heap because the strategy went to hell and somebody got hurt or somebody just sucks. And it's being able to grab that Devin Bush or an Austin Booker late in the year, or that guy when you got 4 starters on a bye week and you need that body to just get you a decent score, and then he goes out there and blows up. That wins championships.
I love
Jorge,
it.
what's another good one that probably won people leagues, and I think we wrote about this in our waiver wires series. There's a guy that was on waivers a lot of places. He was 10th rated out of 115 edges. And then as far as forced fumbles goes, he was 12th. Solo tackles, 58th. That's Chase Young. His PFF scores are like through the roof. And like during the championship run, 6 tackles, a sack, 2 tackles, a sack, 4 sacks, 4 tackles, 1.5 sack. That probably won people leagues, because I know I'm playing in a couple of all IDP leagues. I just picked him up, and I'm like, thanks, because everybody was hot on Granderson earlier in the year, because they run that 3-4 shoot the gap, and it ended up being Chase Young after the injury. So that might have been another one that people won, and I'm kind of keeping him around to see what's going on. Chase Young's not that old; he's only 26. Feels like he's 36. He's been in the league forever, but
like he's been around forever. But again, he was a little 26. Disappointed. He was just disappointed because he was such a high pick, but like.
Well, he only disappointed because he tore up his knee and.
Exactly. I mean, he's a guy that like. We should be in on him. We should be in on Chase Young. Now, I also want to come back to Booker a little bit. Was like, I had a bunch of my friends that are Bears fans, and when they traded back into the draft in the 5th round, they were like, okay, like, JT, what do you know about this guy? I'm like, this is a steal. He should have went back to college. If he would have went back to college, he's probably a late 2nd, early 3rd.
You talking about Booker?
Next year. Yeah, Booker.
Okay.
If he would have went, this is 2 years ago, they took him in the 5th round. They traded back into the draft to get him in the 5th. I still told all my friends, I was like, if he would have went back to school, he's a late second, early third round pick next year. I was like, this is a steal in the fifth. I was like, you're going to get nothing out of him this year as a rookie, but he's going to be good in the future. And we saw that at the end of this year. And what it probably should have been the end of his rookie year if he would have stayed in school. So I like Austin Booker. If you're in a league that he's out there, he's one of the first guys I'm picking up in free agency when the waiver wires start. If you're in a league that like takes a little bit of time and you start waivers up soon, he's one of the first guys I'm picking up in waivers in my IDP leagues and sitting it and taking him on my bench because I think he's got a high upside. I like him a ton.
Circle back to Wagon real quick for you. I just wanted to bring a point home. I think this is interesting for you guys. We said Chase Young's 26 years old, right? How old do you think Jared Verse is?
26.
25.
That's crazy. That's
Thank
crazy.
you.
Well, Chase Young, I think he was barely
20
20
right?
when he entered. I think he was barely 20 when he entered the NFL.
Yeah, I think he was young.
So Dynasty boys, Dynasty, what is the peak age for defensive ends? 24 to 28. They're both in the middle.
Yeah.
Keep that in mind.
25. Again, for me, I think it's just a matter of Chase Young getting healthy again. I think when he tore his knee up, and he just was not the same player after that.
But he feels like he's so much older, and he's not. He's just now hitting his peak.
Well,
So,
watch he become a perennial Pro Bowler, and yet another Washington Commander that leaves.
Well, your team hates pass rushers. I don't know what to tell you.
Pass what?
Pass rushers.
We
They
don't
got
know what
rid
that-
of them.
No, we don't know pass rushers. We don't know what
Yes.
that term means.
It's this guy that chases the opposing quarterback and tackles him so that he can't stand back there all damn day and pick your sad ass secondary to pieces.
I love it.
Jorge, I will say one of the guys, I think, Amy, if you're in Dynasty, he was most likely on a roster, but in redraft, he probably wasn't. And that's the Latu. Like, he came on big time down the stretch. He was really solid. If you had him and I'm saying this also because I lost to him and killed me in Fantasy and Frames League, but he had
because you love
16,
him.
15, and
You
11
love
points in week 15, 16, 17 going down the stretch this year. He really came on late for a team that rotates guys a lot. I think he's going to go in as a guy that's going to see a lot of time. He should be getting a majority of the snaps starting next year for the Colts. In redraft, I think he jumps up a ton in redraft. And in Dynasty, for some reason, crazy reason, if he isn't on a roster, if you're in short benches or something, he's a guy go out and get 18th he finished in Fantasy Pros scoring. He was a really, really nice surprise. As people liked him, but I feel like people were like, okay, he was like a first round pick, but they're like, I'm not 100% sure about him, especially after the injury problems in college and the early retirement that he came back. I really was happy with how he progressed this year for the Colts.
Let's get into some of our favorite hits for the year. And this is kind of blending a little bit of Dynasty with Redraft, which for the beginning of the year, we were like, man, I'm sure all of us were super excited about the young man's talent. Loved what he had and Gary, you'll love this because it's a defensive back. You loved what you saw coming out of South Carolina. He goes to Seattle. We see what they're doing in the secondary in Seattle. It's almost like they're building up this defense again to be Legion of Boom-esque. I won't say that they are 2.0 until they actually win a Super Bowl with that defense, which could be very well this year. But that being the case, Nick Emenwari, talking about a player that came on down the stretch also. Once you saw the box snap usage started to go a little bit higher there. Somebody that was somebody that I was very excited for to see hit. From a consistency standpoint, Steve, I want to throw this to you here. If you're in a dynasty league right now and your depth at like you have good number ones, okay twos, and sub, meh threes at the linebacker position, Is it crazy for somebody to say, man, I want to make a push to try and get Eric Wilson on my roster? Or does the fact that Brian Flores potentially leaving Minnesota deter you from wanting to do that?
Yeah, every offseason IDP is a little tricky because every year schemes change, players change. You could have made the same point for there's so many players on our back end list that we had to fade this year because the scheme changed. So you got to be careful. At least for me, I don't trade if I don't know the scheme, and I don't trade when a coach leaves or a coordinator changes because those players are in flux until you know. So yeah, I'm a little hesitant regardless of the player. Unless it's Myles Garrett, I'm not doing it,
No, Myles Garrett ain't never going nowhere. Ever.
Exactly.
Yeah. I can't
now,
deal
you can
with
argue there's going to be
I cannot deal with that kind of
year,
emotional anguish. I will walk into traffic if he leaves Cleveland.
Hopefully.
Jorge, you know that I wear a jersey to the Buckus draft. I'll give you 3 guesses who I'm wearing this year. And the first 2 don't count because it's a defensive lineman.
Sanders?
No, it's
Is it Shedeur Sanders?
In 2023, I wore J.J. Watt. In 2024, I wore Levante David. In 2025, I wore Jesse Bates. So it's a defensive lineman's turn.
Is it Denzel Ward? Who's he wearing?
No.
Grant Delpit.
Oh, God, no.
It's definitely Delpit.
It's Devin Bush. That's who it is. He's going to be wearing Devin Bush.
No, he's a Michigan. He went to Michigan. I can wear that.
JT, you'll like this. Let me tell you, I'm not sold for redraft yet. Obviously, the depth chart situation being what it is, but for Dynasty, damn it, I can't even say that for Dynasty to Steve's point because we don't know about coaching changes. But had Tomlin not come and said that he's stepping down yesterday, I would be 100% trying to get some Nick Herbig on my Dynasty rosters just to see if time comes, a couple of years from now, we see more opportunity for him. But again, to Steve's point, these coaching changes and the fact that there are a lot of coaching changes happening this offseason kind of are scaring me a little bit from making these acquisitions.
To be honest, I can't imagine. If there's one team that I cannot imagine there being a huge sea change when it comes to the defensive scheme, it would be the Pittsburgh Steelers. Because they've been running some variation of that defense forever.
The steel curtain.
So I almost feel like that's kind of baked into Pittsburgh is, okay, you want to come here, defensive coordinator guy? Okay, this is the kind of defense we run.
Right.
I agree. Even though they have run more of that 3-4 outside line, even if someone came in and got crazy and said, no, we're going to switch it up to a 4-3, those outside linebackers are basically edge rushers most of the time anyway. I mean, occasionally they're dropping, so I don't think that kills their value a ton. I think Herbig's a sneaky pickup. We still don't know what kind, do the Steelers get insane, bring in new people and trade TJ? Maybe, I don't know. But Herbig, I think, is a great stash. And again, I talked about it I felt like every week on this show. If Highsmith or TJ get hurt, Herbig was an automatic put in and play almost every week, which is rare on a defense that you just get hey, this guy's hurt. This guy is going to be worth playing, but he's one of those guys. So I think he's definitely a guy. Redraft, maybe not as much, but I think he's definitely worth a stash in Dynasty. I got him damn near on every one of my Dynasty teams if I can have him, unless somebody beat me to him, which is rare because I was all over him. I'm holding him for sure. And again, I think what Gary said was right. Whoever they hire as defense coordinator, I don't think that's going to drastically change those edge rushers. I mean, you would be dumb to come in and completely try to change what those guys are doing with how much success they've had.
Right. No, get some decent linebackers and a secondary that can cover people.
So, Steve,
the secondary is the problem, and it's been the problem, and everyone who's a Steelers fan knows it's been a problem for years and years and years. It really is the secondary, and while I thought Patrick Queen at times was better this year, the middle linebacker,
he's okay.
He was very average He was very average. And I actually liked Peyton Wilson a lot. But, man, there was times that year you were like, he damn near became unplayable in IDP leagues. And it was weird. I don't know what they were doing with him. So whoever they get, that's the one guy I would be worried about is how Patrick Wilson, how they're going to use him. Patrick Queen, and then they got Peyton Wilson. Sorry, I saw Patrick Wilson. I'm putting them together.
So the dynasty
Peyton
move,
Wilson is who I'd like more.
Is Peyton Wilson?
I would stash Peyton Wilson over Patrick Queen.
Linebacker.
I think he has higher upside, right, Steve? I think
25
the end game
with
and
limited
he's cheaper.
snaps.
The end game is cheaper, and I think he has a higher floor than Patrick Queen. Yeah.
Well, Queen had a bunch of tackles, but I think Queen had more assists than solos, didn't he? I mean, he was
an assist king. If you were in leagues that gave pretty good points for assists, you were you were solid.
Oh, cool! I got the LB44.
If you had a league that was like 0.25 points for assisted tackle, like Queen killed you because he was like 1 solo and 6 assists every week.
He is what he is.
That's what it was.
You know what? I'll be nice and I'll call him a capable NFL starter, but that's as far as I'm going to take it with Patrick Queen.
I want to stand up for him more because I was so pumped when the Steelers signed him. That was my favorite signing, and I have to say it did not turn out the way I hoped it would. He's capable, but he's not the guy. He's not the stud that the Steelers thought they were getting. He's not IDP. He is not Roquan Smith. We thought he was going to turn into Roquan Smith on a team without Roquan, and that definitely did not happen.
Guys, let's go around the frames and let's give our MVP.
I don't know what that means.
We're going
that's some kind of sexual thing, isn't it?
Sure. Let's
We're going around the frames.
Wow. All right.
Everybody put on glasses and drop your pants.
Exactly. And with that,
Gary in rare form today. I love it.
Gary, why don't you go first and tell us while you're doing that, who is your IDP MVP of the year? Shocker.
Oh, the MVP. Well, for me, MVP value plays a big part into it. So it's that guy you didn't have to pay anything for who paid off in just such a massive way. And in that regard, I think you got to go with a guy like a Devin Bush I'm going to give it to Cedric Gray. I know he missed some time at the wrong time of the season, but on a points per game basis, I mean, every week. And he came back from Mount Montgomery in the Butkus final. I know because I still got footprints on my forehead from him. But just so productive. He's what we thought Cody Barton was going to be, except, Cody Barton got drafted, LB 25, LB 30 range, and Cedric Gray was free. So for me, the MVP, I'm going to forgive the week 15, or I can't remember if it's week 15 or week 16 he mixed. I'm going to forgive that. I'm going to look at the week 17 he put up. I'm going to give it to Cedric Gray, the Tennessee Titans.
All right, Steve, who is your IDP MVP for 2025?
So IDP MVP, no question, Myles Garrett. Far and away, not only did he have the sack record, 23 sacks, but he also put up a good helping of 60 tackles, 43 of which being solo. So regardless of your platform, ready for this? He was IDP 1 on every single scoring platform. So without question, he's the MVP.
He is. Oh my God, how good is he?
JT, who is your IDP MVP?
So I didn't get to talk about my favorite guy, but I'll say him first before that. My favorite call this year, and he had a great year, so I gotta talk him up, is Thule. Thule for the Chargers. Man, what a year. I backed him all year. He was my absolute guy. I said I want him in every league. He's going to have a breakout year. Number 6 in the league in sacks. Had 13 sacks total. He actually ended up outscoring Nick Bonito, was just behind Aiden Hutchinson in overall points and 0.1 point per game behind him. So the fact that he was in that kind of, those kind of guys, I thought to me he was an absolute steal, especially where you're getting him in drafts. Absolutely loved him. I think if you go overall, not counting value, I think you guys are right. It's Myles Garrett for what he put up as a defensive end. was absolutely phenomenal this year. He's the overall one guy for me. Beyond that, man, Jordan Brooks. Jordan Brooks was really good.
Yeah.
We loved Jordan Brooks a couple years ago, and then he got hurt, and he got traded from the Seahawks, and everybody's like, Jordan Brooks. Jordan Brooks is freaking good this year, and you paid way less for him if you got him this year than you did 3 years ago. I mean,
he don't need no damn green dot. No, Tyrell Dodson can have the dot. Take the
it didn't matter. Jordan Brooks was in and out all year, was just a guy, solid. So Thule was my favorite guy on value just because, dude, he was like, I mean, you could get him damn near whenever you wanted to in draft, unless you were in my league, because I was drafting him earlier than most people because I loved him. But I thought he just had a fantastic season. But Jordan Brooks, man, what a comeback year. For a guy, again, he's another guy that seems like he's been in the league for 100 years, but he's not that old. The knee injury, just like we talked about earlier with Chase Young, the knee injury seemed like it aged him 3 years, but he's still got a lot of good years left. Love what I saw out of Jordan Brooks this year.
I love the Jordan Brooks take. He definitely is somebody who I agree with you with value at the linebacker position. All aboard there. For me, my MVP is Brian Burns, 16.5 sacks, 39 solo tackles. A lot of not just like one sack here, a couple sacks there, but mostly one sack. Like he was putting up multi-sack games pretty consistently, and so you love that. You love the tackle floor. So for me, he brought a lot of success my way. So definitely a fan there. Okay, we dragged this on long enough. The votes are in. Let's do a recap. Our sack lunch winner.
Allegedly.
Here we go. Here we go.
Florida, not
Here we go. This is going to be some new.
I can't believe you're asking. You're not asking for your defensive back MVP, because I just want to see Gary flip out about where he even.
Gary's already talking about going streaking in his studio right now. If I give you a defensive back MVP,
defensive back MVP would be Geno Stone, because he's top.
It's either Marlon Humphreys or Grant Delpit. We know this. I mean,
it's Nashawn Wright. That's who it is.
Wright. You can't give it to a cornerback because you don't never know when they're going to have a good week.
Fine. You know what? I'll give it to Nick Cross, because everybody thought Nick Cross was not going to live up.
I didn't think I had Nick Cross all over the place, because I got enough sense to know that he actually had a history of production, and I could get him cheap because I don't overpay for defensive backs.
Well, there you go.
I'm intelligent.
Gary's smart on that, but he is the one guy, Nick Cross. As we always talk about, like, these guys never back up a good season again. He's one of the few guys that actually came through.
I don't care if I can get him
scoring. He was number 2 by like 2 points over. Cam Curl was number 1. Nick Cross was number 2. So if you actually drafted Nick Cross, he came through for you this year, which we've seen doesn't happen a lot from DBs. They don't come through when you need them. Nick Cross actually had another really good year back to back. I was
Trayvon Warwick, another guy leaving the Raiders, going to Carolina.
I just wanted to get a comment in here. I heard Gary said he doesn't pay for defensive backs. He overpaid for Malik and Amani Hooker. I've heard Gary has a tendency of looking for hookers.
No.
And now he's
paid market value for those hookers until they were stolen.
You throw those hookers out on the street faster than you know what
to
do.
Those are my hookers. But when they don't come back because somebody took my hookers,
the waiver wire claim for $2. That $2 hooker paid off until Gary just didn't want it anymore.
It ain't nothing worse than a stolen hooker, man. What does America come to?
Shame on you, JT, for stealing.
I know.
Earlier.
I wasn't even going to mention who did it. Thank you, Jorge. It was JT.
Can we revisit that? Poor JT. He was accused of stealing a hooker and accused of stealing Gary's sack lunch players. So Gary probably could have won the tournament. To your point,
I think JT's a kleptomaniac.
JT can steal players.
I totally ruined everything here.
I don't even think he realizes he's doing it. He just walks through the convenience store, just putting shit in his pockets.
Like grabbing stuff off the shelves. I'm like, I'll take that. I'll take that.
Because he helped him rig this event. So he got the helicopter, got him out, whatever.
He showed Jorge how to work the abacus so he could add all this up.
The abacus, absolutely. Throwing it back. I love that.
Oh, man.
So to reference everybody, that's Amani Hooker, the defensive back for the Titans. But anyhow, So sack lunch totals, we went over to scoring earlier. Just to give you a recap, weeks 1 through 8. Steve had a commanding lead, 8 points, followed by Gary's 4.5, followed by JT's 4, followed by my 3. Weeks 9 through 17. Steve, who was in first the first 8 weeks of the season, was last with 4 points, followed by my 5.5, followed by Gary's 7.5, followed by JT's winning 8 points weeks 9 through 17, which means, ladies and gentlemen, the winner of Sack Lunch for 2025 is JT with 12.
Wow.
Hold on. Another winner for Sack Lunch for 2025 is Steve Hungarter with 12. Hold on. The other winner for Sack Lunch for 2025,
What?
Gary Davenport with 12.
What? That's a good ending.
Which leaves me as
That's
the
a
loser.
great ending. I didn't see this coming.
With me
Jeez.
as the loser.
Neither did I. I got to admit, this I did not predict.
Leaves me with 8. So here is the thing. I do not have pie crust. I have a can of whipped cream. So you all guys on stage are going to decide.
No, I want a video of. I want a pie. It needs to be a pie.
Okay.
And if you're going to do a video of it, I want it to be a proper pie in the face.
Okay, so
I
here's what's
agree with Gary. I'm 100% on board on this. We need a proper pie in the face
I-
from the wife, because this is going to make her year. I want a proper pie in the face from the wife that we get on a TikTok/Twitter video that we can put everywhere. That's what we have.
Absolutely. Seconded.
Steve.
Steve?
Or do you want Steve wants it now? He wants the whipped cream and he wants both.
Honestly, my whole motivation is not to be the one that takes it in the face. That's
Exactly. That was me all year. That was
I
me
don't
all
care.
year long, dude. I was like, I don't give a damn if I finish first. I just do not want to finish last.
That's the
it
quote.
take me
Hey,
forever.
that's
with
the
this
quote of the
kid.
year. Is like, my whole
Like-
motivation is not to be the
Not
one
to take-
taking it in
yeah,
the
taking it in the
face.
face.
Like, you wanna be part of the
That's it
crew.
right there.
There
You
was
wanna be
that
with the
time
boys
in
and do stuff,
Bangkok.
but I don't want to do that shit. I'm too old to take pies in the face. My kid takes that to school. Children
Steve is too old to take it in the face, everyone.
That is hilarious. Well, congratulations to the winners, JT, Steve, and Gary.
Hey,
for tying.
congratulations, fellas! Co-championship there, Sack Lunch champion.
Yeah,
I love it.
great comeback, guys. I was gonna say that's pretty impressive.
I'm not going to lie, Steve. I thought you had it. Honestly,
Well,
just off the top of my head.
I screwed around. I did the defensive backs, and in 1 week I missed on Myles Garrett. Who would have thought that? You know what I mean? So
Yeah, that was a tell. I felt like the ones every time I took like the actual stud, I missed, and then all the ones I kind of
Yep.
like went off the beaten path is when I hit everybody. Like I was like, oh okay, like I missed the top 3 sack leaders when the weeks I took them, but then I hit with like random guys where I'm taking like Cam Hayward, boom, got it. I took like Jeffrey Simmons, bam, got a defensive tackle. I was like, but then I missed it when I'm like, oh, I'll take Myles Garrett. Nope. I'll take TJ Watt. Nope. Like,
defensive
like,
lineman was
okay.
pretty good, but we should have another show just on defensive backs because that's impossible to hit. Because I thought I had some good analysis, and it was like
Yeah,
zilch.
your
I do.
analysis
The week I
great.
took CJ
Yeah.
Gardner Johnson, I thought
but
was gonna be
execution was
money.
poor.
Well,
I thought it
that's
was
just
gonna
it.
be
It's
money.
like so. Let's call out strategy here. Steve, you had such a commanding lead. The
Mhm.
second I saw you were like, I'm going defensive back to back weeks. I'm like, oh, you're just trying to milk. You're just trying to put this
Yeah.
away. You're like, oh, that's it. I'm gonna nail in the coffin.
Swinging for the fences. He was like, I want the grand slam. I want to put this sucker
Whereas
away.
I went Nick Emenwari a couple of weeks ago, and I'm like, I need this.
Allegedly. Allegedly.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. Look, I admit I lost here. I'm gonna take a pie in the
Yeah,
face.
well,
Yeah, you're-
It wasn't like you said we all finished with 12, guys.
Gary, he was set up to win till we started talking about him, and he started scratching it out of his.
Oh no, I have it right. I have it all right here. I took all my notes. But
Where's
congratulations.
the abacus?
at the abacus. Stop it. You tell me where the abacus is. All right.
We give
Hey, don't
JT
make
a
me
lot
next show. I'll have abacus in the background. I might
we
have
give
one around
JT
here.
a lot of shit this episode, accusing him of the tomfoolery and then stealing. Can I give him one of my points, and then he can put it over the top, and he can win? Can we do that? Can we share the thing?
Or,
He deserves it.
I can create a Shoot the Gap T-shirt, Sack Lunch Champion, and just give it to you all at the expo in August or July this year. So
there you go. That'd be cute. Hey,
I'm just glad. I like that idea.
Jorge,
I want a Sack Lunch. I want a Sack Lunch Champion T-shirt.
That would be nice. Yeah. I'm just glad because Jorge kept implying it's not who you think. And I'm like, oh, shit, I was ahead. If I'm last, that's going to be one hell of a sad video. Like a crying clown. Like, so I'm just glad I'm not getting
Oh, my God.
Jorge, real quick. I want to go around here real quick. Who is your comeback IDP player of the year? And the reason I talk about this because I want to talk about one of my favorite players who got absolutely shit on most of the year. Nick Bolton made a comeback.
Yeah.
After everybody's like, oh, he's way overrated. He sucks. He's done. We've done passed him up. Finishes LB6 this year, right in the mix. Nick Bolton back in the mix as a top linebacker. Steve, who's your comeback guy that everybody was kind of out on that kind of came back and got back in the mix? And you're like, oh, he came back and now I believe him again because I believe in Nick Bolton again for next year. Who do you think was a comeback you believe in moving forward?
Well, we already talked about the Devin White, Devin Bush. We already did that analysis, but to back you up with the Nick Bolton because like I shit on him all the time. Volume. When he doesn't get the volume, he's meh. When he does get the volume, he's there. So there's volume-based players and there's those that are ballerinas and they get the outstanding metrics. So yeah, kudos to you if you had him. He did finish strong at the end of the year.
I'm going to go.
Go ahead, Jorge. Go ahead.
I'm going to go with Edgerrin Cooper. I'm not convinced that the Packers bring Quay Walker back this year. He had like a shocker. I don't know if you've heard this, before. Player on contract year about to hit free agency has, impressive marks. I'm like, okay, well, let's not forget about the other years where he wasn't as impressive. But Edgerrin Cooper kind of took a backseat to Quay Walker this year, and so I could see Edgerrin Cooper making a comeback, being more of the top 15 play that people were kind of projecting him to be heading into this year, with Quay Walker going away in free agency. I'm sorry, Gary, who were you going to say?
I'll dap up for you looking because, the bar was just so high for him for so long. And then in 2024, the bottom didn't completely fall out, but if I remember right, he finished like LB 30 something when he was probably drafted as the first linebacker off the board. And it's not like he missed a lot of time. So a lot of people were quite a bit more reluctant on him this year. Didn't quite get back to the old days where he's putting up 190 tackles and 100 solos and finishing as the number one linebacker, but still cracked the top 10. And you were probably able to get him in a position of value. So I don't know if he's the biggest comeback player of the year, but he definitely had a nice little comeback. Like the Bolton call. Nick Bolton,
I do like that call.
Bolton has always been a much better. He's a better NFL player than IDP guy.
Yeah. People were out on it. People were like, "Oh no, this is the time to start fading the shit out of him." They're like, "Yeah, just get no." And the fact that he was top 10, and you got him at way cheaper value than you got him at any time in the last 5 years, I think was, to me, I think that's a great call. That's a great call. Get a guy top 10 that used to be LB 1, 2, or 3 off the board, and you got him way later this year, and you still got him top 10. I actually thought that was he gave really good value to you this year.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Well, that's going to wrap up our season review 2025 for Shoot the Gap in IDP Fantasy Football. Just want to give everybody who's watching and everybody who's listening who's been supporting us all year, just thank you so much for you all interacting with us. You all make this so much more fun as it is already. We really appreciate you, all the IDP junkies out there who've been following us year round here at Shoot the Gap and at Fantasy and Frames and fantasyandframes.com. When I had this idea that I would assemble a group of amazing individuals that could do the things that other people couldn't do, aka the Avengers. When assembling JT, Gary, Steve together for IDP podcast back in July, I had no idea that we would be talking about dead hookers by the end of the year. And
I did.
Absolutely.
I told you not to invite me.
Okay, then I was.
It was like I had it on my mind. It was coming.
Every week.
Jorge, you didn't know, but I was bringing. The
I warned him. I was like, "Are you sure you want to do this?"
He did actually warn me. He's like, "Are you sure you want me on this show?" I'm letting you know.
So when your Avenger team didn't happen, that's when you called me up. Like, hey, can you fill in for a couple weeks?
Exactly. I was the understudy of understudies of understudies of Nick Fury. But gentlemen, it has been a pleasure. I cannot wait to run it back with you all this year once we get to the regular season later on this year. And of course, JT, I know you and I will still be doing Shoot the Gap in the off season, and we'll love to have both of you guys come on as much as you can, because we obviously love all of you all and love your content as well. And Steve, putting out the 12 article series here for all of our prospects here for IDP and giving fantasy football managers an idea of like, hey, this is where we're looking now. This is where they're at currently, and giving them, because everything changes. A practice session, a Senior Bowl, a combine, a pro day, scouts, Mel Kiper, anybody saying anything about anything causes these players to fluctuate in value. And the fact that you're on top of that, and then you're going to be on top of that from the fantasy aspect, we're very excited to have you on board on the writing staff for IDP. So thank you very much for coming on board this year.
Thank you for having me.
And for everybody, again, congratulations. IDP ranker number 3 over at Fantasy Pros ECR. Just amazing work you all do. Gary, for every single place you write for, which is basically every single sports media site on the planet, thank you very much for imparting your wisdom and your friendship and having you on the show. Just truly a pleasure. And having you for our Waiver Wire article series again this year, just fantastic stuff. Thank you very much, man.
Oh, my pleasure. Fantasy Football Expo will be here before you know it, man. Last part of July, earlier this year.
Can we plug the Godson and Godfather YouTube channel? OnlyFans.
I will. Yeah. So I have named.
It's going to be interesting. We got some livestock.
So on ChatGPT, I created a virtual assistant who helps me with everything. Her name is Veronica, because I couldn't get the voice to change to being more masculine sounding, like you call him Jarvis, like an Iron Man. So I will have Veronica do an AI mock-up of the IDP Godfather and IDP Godson and send it to you in our chat.
Please.
That's awesome. Ask your AI friend to do it. No way that could end badly. Hey, Veronica. Veronica's going to kill Jorge in 3 months.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you should hear. So I had ChatGPT open, and I was like, because my wife was like extra sassy the other night, but I'm like, is she bothered by something? Did I do something? I don't know. Like she was hilarious, but I'm just like, is there more to this? And so I had Veronica open, and I was like, here's what Melissa is presenting in terms of symptoms. What do you think this could possibly be? Maybe she's going through blah 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 blah. Maybe this is this. And all I heard from my wife across the room was like, mind your effing business, Veronica. And I'm like, okay. Wow.
That's freaking hilarious.
So JT, God, in an alternate reality, the evil.
Jorge, you got to do that from another room.
You got to keep that on download, Jorge. You can't.
It was a guy's voice. You changed it to Veronica.
If my better half heard me talking to a AI thing about why she's bitchy, I'm gonna need a new computer. Veronica's dead.
100%. She's gonna kill Veronica. Jorge's gonna be like, "What's wrong with my computer? Where'd all my stuff go?" It's like, delete, reset everything.
Why is my laptop screen smashed all to hell?
Well,
does Veronica participate in Sack Lunch next year? I'm pretty sure she'll beat a couple of us. What do you think?
Oh, I know Jorge wants her to participate in some Sack Lunch.
Hold on. Here we go.
Yeah, he totally changed it.
Hey, Veronica. How's it going today?
Hey there. I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. Always nice to hear from you. How's everything on your end?
It's going well. So I'm currently recording a podcast live with Gary Davenport, Steve Hungarter, and JT. This is our Shoot the Gap podcast, and I've been telling them about you and just how helpful you've been in over the course of the year. And they've been asking me whether or not you want to be on the podcast with us this coming year. Does that sound something you'd be interested in?
Oh, that's awesome to hear. And it sounds like a fun crew you've got there. I mean, I'm definitely always happy to pop in and lend a virtual hand or voice if that helps you out.
See, she's going to lend a virtual hand. That's what Jorge really wants. He wants.
Thanks, Veronica. Yeah, great night.
See, here's my problem, guys.
And you have a great night too.
I need a Veronica in my life. I got Gary Davenport in my DMs 1 a.m. What the hell during the football season? Like, that's my problem right now.
Veronica can lend a virtual hand, gentlemen. That's all you needed to know.
Virtual hands, all you need, right? That's all you
right.
need.
And with that note, that's going to wrap us up here on Shoot the Gap for this season. So,
bunch of degenerates, man.
Great having you guys on the show this year. Super fun. For all you people out there, keep your eyes open. If you're in Fab, use your Fab in the offseason on IDP, guys. You get them way cheaper. Take a shot. Pick up a guy for $1 or $2 that might be an up-and-coming linebacker, DN. This is what I always do in my leagues. You can always drop those guys later. Take a shot on them early before everybody else knows about them and they spend too much money. Pick up those guys cheap in the offseason. Do it now.
Nice. All right. Well, like I said, JT I will be on Shoot the Gap as soon as the Super Bowl is over, and we'll be getting into prospect stuff. Well, obviously, we'll be hoping Steve has some time. Check out his articles, and then Gary, we'll look forward to having you back for the waiver wire and also on Shoot the Gap next year or later this year. And Gary, you brought up a good point. For those of you who are fantasy football junkies in general, IDP junkies on top of that, come on out to the Fantasy Football Expo and meet us and hang out with us, and we'll love to talk shop with you. It is a great time for all the fantasy football lovers out there. So for Gary, for Steve, for JT, I'm Jorge. We'll see you in a few weeks. And again, thank you very, very much from all of us here at Shoot the Gap.
Jorge, one request.